Alright, get him live.
Yep, one sec. Okay. I'm live. But you can introduce it
You're
if you
live?
want. Yeah, because you know what you're doing.
Alright, well, I'm going to show my intro on my OBS output and go ahead and hit start recording. And recording now, going over to the intro. Do, 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 do. And back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Esportsmonies, ESN, MackTen, whatever you want to call me. I'm here with Wired Guitars. This is being streamed live on in Wired Guitars live stream. The link to his live stream will be in the video description when this is uploaded, and because he is streaming it live, I will not be streaming it live. This is Pub Trash, your usual talk show where we talk about the competitive scene a lot, or a little bit, and talk about pubs and bullshit associated with pubs. I guess a lot more. Wired did you have an opening you wanted to go with, or?
No, that's pretty good. That does the job,
Okay.
so to speak.
Oh yeah, and because you have the multi-chat up on your stream, then I actually don't need the app, so I can see it.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
that's yeah. I
that
mean, there's a
restream time was
delay.
fucking sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, still, the delay's not that bad. It's like 20 seconds if you
yeah,
have. Actually, it will depend. So like, if you're, I know if you're streaming raw to YouTube, the delay's like 20 seconds or something.
yeah.
Um, I don't know what CPU you have, but you might be able to turn up the quality without sacrificing frames. I'd have to see your hardware later. But anyway, because I stream at 1080 60 and I don't lose I don't lose hardly any frames in Dota. Like I'm playing at 120,
Mm,
like above 120 on high settings.
mm.
Okay, so today on the docket we've got a new content thing that's going on my channel. I'm going to plug for a minute, and then we're going to talk about the shuffle um, in some detail, mostly focusing on the interesting ones. Fun fact: there's a transparency issue on my shirt right now, so when I lean in close, I disappear. I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll see. And then lastly, talking about patch streams, current patch, what we want in the new patch, when we think the new patch will arrive. But most of that will mostly be just us crying because it won't be here for a while, I don't think. Starting with the new content on my channel. So I've been looking at a lot of Dota 2 channels, and I really want to have, in addition to my regular content, a few playlists of professional replays, and I've been trying to find a way to convert professional replays into just straight up video files that I can put onto my YouTube channel. And I don't think such a tool exists, but I've found a way uh, that's pretty decent for me to do on my end and just record the VODs and do all that manually, but manually do it as easy as possible. So I will probably start doing that as of tomorrow, and I'm going to try to do maybe 4 or 5 games a day, focusing on, of course, Miracle because everyone loves him, Dendy because everyone loves him, and then Black, who's a player that I personally admire a lot and find really interesting, and a handful of others, so you guys will just have to see. So that's the announcement from me, and you want to get into these shuffles?
Yes. So as a quick primer, we were mostly concerned with EGs and Navis. And more specifically than that, I'd say most of the concern comes from Mac's perspective on this. As you guys are probably well aware, I'm not too familiar with the professional scene of Dota. Specifically, EGs was the one that kind of like, I don't know, shocked me the most, but even then I was kind of like, oh, whoa, that's kind of cool, as opposed to like, oh my fucking god, professional Dota will never be the same or anything like that. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, So I guess EG's old news now because it's 3 days old, Kappa. But um, I guess we'll start with EG. You want to start with EG?
sure.
So the roster is Arteezy, Sumail, Universe, Crit, and Fear. I think the two big surprises on this are the return of Fear, and I think it was Zai. Was it Zai that was on there
What?
before, or Aoi? Because Zai and Aoi
Yeah,
I get mixed up a lot.
Zai was on there
Was that?
before. That was the one that they
Okay, so
popped
yeah,
off.
Zai loves EG and he comes through EG pretty often, but Zai's also a player that will stay pretty decent during the off season and then just get pulled in towards the start of the competitive season, and so it's not surprising at all to me that Zai is gone. He typically only plays on EG as a sub because of the fact that he's doing school, or was doing school. He might be doing other stuff now. So that's not that big of a surprise. What is really surprising to me is that Crit is still on the team. So Fear being brought back in is also not that surprising. You could see him kind of the way he was tweeting at TI. I was suspecting and very hopeful that Fear would come back. He's also it's fucking Fear. Everybody loves Fear. But the fact that Crit is still on this team, I don't have any, like, yes, everyone is overreacting to how bad Crit fucked up. He fucked up big time. So I'm not losing my shit over that. Like, everyone fucks up. But you don't fuck up when you're on EG because they don't tolerate little fuck ups. Like, EG got rid of AUI 2000 when they won TI. And Crit, and he didn't do anything wrong. They just got rid of him because they had to get rid of somebody to get Arteezy. And they're taking Crit over PPD. PPD is probably coming back to the competitive scene. That's the only, like, possible fucking reason that he stepped down from his CEO position to do something like, I think he might be coach for this team.
See, so if I can,
don't know if the coach position is the coach allowed to be in the booth, because if the coach isn't allowed to be in the booth, then you're losing the primary benefit of having, like, him on your team.
Yeah.
Because he does the drafts.
So if I can step,
makes him good.
Yeah, if I can step in for a second, I just want to say I am just as much surprised. Or no, I said earlier that this wasn't like a huge deal to me, but the concerns that you voiced were ones that echoed in my mind as I was thinking about this as well, because for a while I kind of like contemplated why they even bothered to show PPD or like Zai and PPD, or it's worded as PPD and Zai, but I read that as like, whoa, PPD, why did they even mention PPD? He's not even technically on the team anymore. Well, yeah, like you said, come to find out, like he still does play. He's not just a CEO. Like, yeah, sure, he owns a lot of EG stock. And to some degree or another, he may weigh in a lot in like panels and whatnot for representing EG in things like the international the panels that they had at the event. But he also does still very much play a role in the. It's kind of like, if I can make a very very poor comparison here because it involves League of Legends. He reminds me a lot of like Reginald from TSM. Like when Reginald stepped down from playing on the team, he still had a very big role to play in how the team's success was I guess just came about, etc. So I do agree. I don't know what's going, like you said, like, and a lot of people also echoed this thought on Reddit. Like, he's probably going to do something with professional Dota. I just can't imagine it being on any team other than EG. And then Zai shocks me not just because of the Crit Zai comparison, where it's like if anybody's better is got to step down at best be Crit, because Crit became the captain as well as joining EG. Like, he joined EG and then I think it was like a few months later. I don't think he joined and then immediately became captain, but like for TI they considered Crit. I think it was when PPD stepped down was when Crit, right? Like, Crit and PPD played on EG together, and then and then he stepped down, and then he had Crit replace him as the captain. And so when that happened, I was like, this doesn't really make too much sense. Like, that was more of a surprising revelation to me than him not getting kicked off EG, just because I do think that it's very early to make any sort of judgment calls as to how well Crit can play. And for sure, he was not the strongest player at TI, but I still think that he deserves a chance. I also think that the words Zai leave EG are important to note. I don't think Zai was kicked. I think it was more of a mutual decision, if anything, more led by Zai than EG if it wasn't mutual. Like you said, he has school to attend to, and he's got other plans. He technically was a part of an TI winning team at some point, right? When EG won TI 5, like, he was.
Just quick interruption. Like, he said, the same thing happened before. So, like, he left EG, and it said he left EG when he took off a year before. So, like,
so he could even come back.
I would almost bet money that he'll either be a sub or he'll be full-blown playing for EG during the next TI. So he'll be gone for a lot of the year, but he will be back doing the same thing. This has absolutely happened before. It's like fucking Burning,
Yeah.
except with the same team.
Wouldn't be
So, sorry,
surprised at
go on.
all. No, yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all. I could totally see Zai coming back. And I'm not too surprised to see him leave if it is for the reasons that you mentioned, like school and whatnot. He'll probably still even be playing Dota in the meantime, right? This isn't just like he leaves esports altogether. He's just leaving. He's just stepping down for a bit. It does give us an opportunity to see to see fear out of the closet, so to speak. Not the I mean the proverbial closet of what it's been like for the year that he's been absent or so, a year and a half, I guess, more so leaning towards, since he's played on a professional team. And then also you get the good old boys back, right? Minus PPD, we've got Arteezy, Sumail, Universe, and Fear on a team. The only kind of like somewhat oddball one out there is Crit, but like everybody else, like these are all the old boys of EG, so this will be interesting to
I
see.
have no idea. Again, the only thing to me is like, I feel like, so hold on. Let me go Evil, or let me go EG. I don't see EG Dota 2 roster. Let me check the. So active, yes. Former achievements. It's not showing a coach position. So, so I feel like PPD, like he's definitely doing something within Dota, but he's on Wanted, so he's on a North American Dota 2 team that's going to be competing in Kiev. It's Chessie, QO, Boris, JO, and PPD. PPD owns Evil Geniuses though. Like I'm pretty sure
It's like
he
a CEO.
owns. Well, no, he actually bought the company, I believe, like from Alex Garfield when Alex Garfield
Wait, really?
stepped down. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure Evil Geniuses. Um, let me see. Manager. It says who owns Evil Geniuses. Managing Director, PPD. That's CEO. Evil Geniuses stakes independence, becoming player-owned organization. So, as of December 12th of last year, EG became a player-owned organization, and I'm sure, so like, PPD, he will be stepping into the role long held by visionary Alex Garfield. I'm happy to announce EG as its own independently owned esports brand. He has to still own this thing. Like he was grooming. He and his father were preparing for him to like seize control of this organization since like January of 2015, I want to say, end of 2014. Like this was something he planned out for a very long time and was very, very into. Like it, like the only other, and this is not that out of place for him to basically say, "I'm gonna see if I can make a pub stack that just destroys everything," but why would he? Why would he do that when he could easily step in and do EG? I mean, it could be some sort of like, it could be just like again the fuck off team for him, which it probably is. But the problem is, Chessie and QO and JO, especially QO, these are players that are like rock stars in their own right. Like some of these are not all just pub stars or no names. These are players that have legitimate careers and are not like they can't just jump in. It's not like Cinderin who can sort of jump in and do this sort of shit.
Yeah.
Like these players need to win. And what's going to happen when PPD finds himself in a match against EG, and given the talent on the team and given his ability to make players play well together, they will find each other. They will find each other at odds. They will be in a match against each other in a tournament at some point. So I don't understand how he can do this unless he stepped down from the role, stepped down from his... Like, he can't step down from owning the fucking team. It's where he makes his money. Like, and he's invested... I'm pretty sure... Like, supposedly the rumor was he dropped a straight $1 million on this. Like, he dropped the majority of his earnings from TI5.
Yeah.
Evil Geniuses, CEO and former Dota 2 hold on. I don't know, man.
Really
Like,
hard. These things are really
who
hard to
owns
speculate on.
this?
These things are really hard to speculate on for many reasons that we don't have to get totally into. But I will say the forefront is that just like there's a lot that happens behind closed doors, for better or for worse, that are
Well, I
just
mean, it's a it's a big deal in terms of tournament organizers, though,
for sure.
because Valve included has to be able to, they have to have some sort of assurance that he won't throw against his own team or
Yep.
won't have his own team throw against him. This is a
Yes.
serious fucking max fixing issue where there has to be some kind of transparency
Yeah.
when they do face each other. Like it's not like
If
right now
right.
Team Wanted is not the game. Yeah, if, but right now you won't see them face each other, but soon you probably will because these like Team Wanted is a nobody team, but Jay is not bad, Boris isn't bad, Kiwo's fucking insane, and Chessie's also quite respectable.
Chess is
With
pretty fucking
PPD
good, dude.
or yeah,
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Sorry.
with
Sorry.
PPD organizing this and pulling the strings, like PPD's
This could
half the
be.
reason they won TI.
Yeah.
Like he's
Uh,
incredible. Like he's a horrible player compared to the people that he
that he
plays
plays with, dude.
but he's the best
Co-
drafter around. Like he played at
coming
TI and he was like below 5K. Like which makes him even more dangerous when you put him with like a bunch of decent players because of the fact that he's very very good. He's so good at drafting. He sees it like a game of chess and apparently at the speed of a game of chess too.
You,
But
you, Mac, literally everything you just said is an insanely good point, especially the knock on PPD, because anytime you want to flame PPD for his mechanics, just like flaming Mason for his flame, I will always defend you. He is a pretty bad player when it comes to mechanical ability. I think his APM
he's like
barely,
Puppy.
barely
He's like knock out. He's like worse. Actually, no.
he is a very good.
He's
Yeah.
worse than Puppy.
I
He's
think
worse
I
than,
think Puppy's
sorry,
a
go
quicker
on.
player. No, I think Puppy's a quicker player. I do think PPD thinks
Yeah,
about the game a
same.
little bit more dynamically, and he thinks of his players as extensions of the heroes that they play, as opposed to just like, oh, you're a one trick this, you're a one trick that. Like he'll think of dynamic matchups in such a way that I've noticed he doesn't mind sending a hero that supposedly counters another hero in a different lane, because of the way that the game would play out, as opposed to just how the lane plays out. And just the way that the PPD thinks about the game is definitely one that's genius. When you combine that with incredibly talented mechanical players that also have minds of their own, right? The Chessie has a whole series of tutoring players. The guy's a genius when it comes to playing the game. From what I've seen of his stream and just from what I've seen of his content in general, the other players that you mentioned, such as like QO, these guys are not bad players by any stretch of imagination. I wouldn't be surprised if a team like this, over the course of a year of refinement, as well as participating in top tier tournaments, that would also have the opportunity to refine them. This could be a serious threat come next TI, and obviously, I mean, if EG doesn't compete in a TI, the world's gonna, obviously, something crazy is happening. So it could be very possible that this, we could see a matchup, dare I, if we want to take the most extreme fringe case, the grand finals of TI, Team Wanted, captained by PPD, versus Team EG, captained by Crit. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Which one's gonna win it? It could be very possible that we could see something like that. So you do raise a very good point. I do think
Like
that it's very early for us to speculate as to what could be going on. But you're
I
not wrong
mean,
to speculate.
we have to have some kind of we have to have something with PP. Like we have to have something confirmed for PPD. Like there has to be something there. Like he has way too much. Even if I'm completely wrong about him owning EG and him dropping $1 million on that is not true, which I think it is, he definitely has a shitload of money and time and effort in there. He definitely makes money off of their success, and so that creates an inherent conflict of interest, and there has to be some sort of in-writing, formal, public, and transparent assurance of non-interest for when they do play against each other, because PPD would not be managing the most valuable esports organization in the history of esports, in the history of the world. EG is by far and away the most profitable organization, and he stepped away from being their CEO to play the game again, and he's not playing on their team. Like this raises a lot
Yeah,
of it raises a lot of questions, and
for sure.
he intends to make this a good team, and he has the players to do it. It's weird.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree
The
with
weirdness
everything you
aside, they're serious. I mean, it hasn't been as common in Dota 2 because Valve has been very, very good about like shoving the finger to the 322ers out there. But in CS:GO, like match fixing, is a big fucking deal, and it's a much more regular deal than it is in Dota, to my best knowledge.
Mm.
And this is absolutely something that's going to be this will unless this team is such a dud that they don't play against EG, we will see people talking about this.
Yeah,
This will be news.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if you're ahead of the game because it's kind of like when in the news if say like for instance NASA finds some crazy unadulterated life like on Mars or something like that. Some people that are conspiracy theorists would state that like common public events like Rihanna and Drake slept together or whatever are meant to be more so cover-ups. Like the government stages these sorts of events to cover up this information that from getting leaked and from people focusing on it. That might be what fear coming out of retirement. If we're gonna play the crazy conspiracist game, that might be what fear coming out of retirement is. Just another game in the elaborate conspiracy 3-2-2 that is chess of PPD playing us all like pawns in the chess game of like, yeah, I'll throw fear out of retirement and send him back onto EG, all the while I secretly step behind closed doors and join this random, somewhat no-name team full of good-rated players and can match my way all the way up to the grand finals of TI, where it'll be EG versus Wanted, wink wink, when we all know who's really going to... I mean, I would not... I don't know. I would be surprised. Then, even though I'm saying all of this right now, I still would be surprised if that happened, but the very fact that I'm having the thought of this, I mean, it does raise some questions.
I think the only way that this could work out and us not get some kind of public statement is based on the internal finances of EG, he could prove to Valve, and he would be doing something like sacrifice some prize money to prove to Valve, to an extent, that he would make or lose the same amount of money based on a match in a Valve event between them, whether or not he won or lost. The problem there is there's this inherent value that comes along with the EG brand that clouds and convolutes everything with this situation. Like, there is literally no fucking way that this isn't a problem and we won't hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I love EG, I love PPD, and I don't think that in most circumstances he would be... He's the most... This is an example of it where shit is really messed up because he's the last guy you would expect to ever fix a match, and I don't think he ever would. But those questions will be raised.
In one way or another, yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Those questions will 100% be raised.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about here. I am really, 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 really happy to see Fear back. He'll never... He's like me. He's like, Burning... These old fucking people that have played this game forever, and as long as there is a competitive scene, they want to be part of it. I'm not part of the competitive scene, but I watch it. It's part of my life.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was part of his, and he just wanted, like, to take it off from the stress. And I think he watched TI and was just like, "There's no fucking way that I can just not be here anymore. There's no way that I could have been playing in that booth." Is probably what he thought to himself.
Yeah.
So
Wouldn't be
you don't win
surprised.
TI one year and then quit the next.
I mean,
like,
in a way,
you don't win TI and go, "I had this awesome way out," and then quit. Like, people said that about Loda. People said that Loda was fucking washed up and just needed to quit and just take his seat as an old head that would never be relevant again because he was not really doing anything in Dota. He was basically like the only white guy in a bunch of Asian teams for a few years, and people were saying this about him in like 2011 and 12, like, "Blow out your candles, Loda, give up." And then he won TI, so
yeah.
yeah.
But nobody really rips on Fear the same way that they were ripping on Loda, to be fair, right? Like, Fear is the existential, like the good guy, right? If there's any
He
good
got ripped
guy.
on a bit when he was playing with old EG before EG had RTZ.
Was it like RTZ comparison rip-ons? Like RTZ wouldn't have died there and stuff like that?
No. I'm saying there was a time where EG was fucking garbage.
Oh.
Like, there was a time in Dota 2 where EG's Dota 2 squad was like, you didn't root for NA Dota for that. Like, they are one of the origins of the meme of NA Dota. There's a website. When did EG throw last.com?
Yeah. I'm aware of that website. I didn't think that website was like created for Fear though, but yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
No, it wasn't, but it was like in 2011, 12, 13, like back when Demon was on the team and not a Dota mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
That's when shit was wild.
Dota
like,
mercenary.
Like before he was just bouncing between team and team and team, and he was
Yeah.
just part of EG. Like EG was not a team that you ever were afraid of, and like if you were like it was back in those days. EG, you would never bet on EG against Navi. It's one of those like, as me, someone that likes to bet on the underdog, I would never have bet on EG versus anyone that finished top 8 in TI.
Yeah.
Like it was exciting that EG made it to TI, and a lot of people might
This
have
is a
issue
fire
with this, but
guitar
really
fight,
they
6-hour brood guide.
I'm still getting used to the fact, all these years later, that EG is a juggernaut, not just in terms of money, but in terms of their ability to win. They are an actual juggernaut. We've known this for years, but I absolutely did not see EG as a TI winning team until 2014. A team that had the ability to win TI until 2014. Like, when I saw how well... When I watched them in 2014, I was genuinely... surprised is when it started to kind of sink in. I'm still when I hear EG now, I think of the Juggernaut, but there's part of me that goes back and remembers watching them and going, this is just like some sort of weird one-off team that's like a warm-up for Navi and Alliance.
I mean, how the tides have turned if that was actually the case in your.
I know, no, that's 100% what it like. You would never in 2013. There's no part of the year where you would have ever had bet on EG
over Navi.
against either of the teams either of the teams. You wouldn't bet against them against any fucking Chinese team. They were just not good compared to the other pros, and now they're the best.
Yeah.
So.
This actually segues really well. Sorry.
Fear was there.
Yeah.
Fear was one of those. He was one of the only like relics that got dragged into the new team, and I think
it was because he was always good though. You know, he's definitely made like developments. Sorry.
The thing about Fear is that he's not like. He's almost like a Dendy. Like, he's a good enough player that he can solidify your team, but he can't carry the team by himself. And I think that's one of the problems that was inherent there. Like, it looks like... Yeah, PPD didn't join EG until 2014. So... Yeah, the 2011 roster... The 2012... Wait... Active roster? Okay, so former roster, 2012 EG, Fear, Bulba, Demon, Milk, Universe, that was a trash roster. Jo, Demon, Sexy Bambo, Fear. Fear basically was the only player on the team that survived those early days. So.
Yeah.
I guess he proved his worth. But anyway, moving on to a team that we just said would stomp them. Not as Vincier, trying to,
try to be relevant again.
Yeah, try to be. It's gotten to the point where a Reddit comment that's dead serious is upvoted all to heaven, like saying if you're a tier 2 pro and you join Navi, it's bad for you. It's bad for your career. As a tier 2, as a player that might get to TI one year and might not get anywhere near the qualifiers the next. If you're one of those players, it might be bad for you to join Navi.
Yeah.
Like, that's how... And that's what public opinion thinks of this team right now. Dendy's team, the original TI winners. Like, so... what do you think of this roster?
Yeah, so let me get this out of the way, right? I don't think that any of these players are particularly poor. Mostly because I don't know too many of them, but... obviously, I know Dende. I think everybody knows Dende. If you play Dota, you've probably at least heard of Dende. I don't think Dende's bad or washed up. I just think that maybe this almost makes me sound like a Navi fanboy, which I can assure you that I'm not. I will take any opportunity I can to rip on them for one reason or another. But I just think that as the metagame has changed, the game is obviously way different than it was back in 2011 and 2012, back when Dende was widely considered to be like one of the best mid laners of all time, and would even surpass or transcend into the future seamlessly. Boy, have times changed. I don't think that Dende's like a terrible player, and I think that keeping him on the team, I mean, I think that's like a given. You know, I don't think Navi would be Navi without Dende, but it should go without saying that Dende being on this team is not necessarily going to kill them. I don't think this is a bad decision at all. And I know a lot about Seneko just because of his... he does play Earth Spirit, so I know of him from that perspective. But also, there was a time when I was really trying to like finesse my my position 4 specifically, play, and Seneko was one person I looked to do this a lot. This was back in 6.88, and beforehand when you could suicide to creeps, and he just did that like relentlessly, right? He would do that anytime that he was pre-6, like pre-level 6. He would just suicide to creeps as a support if he was like out of mana or half HP. And he was kind of like one of the people that introduced me to the concept. And I'm not trying to say that this alone makes him a good player. I'm just saying it's these sorts of like out of the box plays really separated him, at least in my mind, as somebody who thought of the game in a more dynamic way, outside of just like the standard way of playing the game, right? Like, who cares if you die 5 games to creeps, right? Like that may show up on the scoreboard and people may call you a feeding support, but these are plays that will ultimately win you the game because they finesse your efficiency. Things, and again, like I'm not just trying to like look at this one element of his play and blow it out of proportion, because there's a lot of things that he does in this way. The way he holds on to spells and like looks at the game as more of a dynamic mission from the support perspective, as opposed to just like I need to hit a 5-man Ravage or a 5-man Echo if my team's going to win this fight, is unfathomably insane. It's he knows exactly what to do going into a team fight 3 minutes before the team fight has happened. He knows item timings that everybody's going to be hitting, what target is most relevant to use Glimpse on, what target's most relevant to be hitting with Static Storm, even if you can only hit them for a few seconds and you can't trap them in the kinetic field. He knows what target's most relevant to silence. He knows what target's most relevant to stun, and he does all of this again like as precursors to the fight. Before the fight's even happened, he accounts for insane amounts of contingency plans in case things go wrong, and he just always seems to know what to do in any given scenario. And that's what I love the most about Seneco's play, and that's why I do think that it's kind of almost a shame to see him on Navi, just because it's very possible that the Navi curse could continue, and his talent will get. What?
You know, he's been on Navi for a minute, right?
Yeah, he's not. He's not.
Yeah, 2015, 2016. He went to Vega for a minute, and then
this was
spent the bulk of his career on Navi.
This isn't a shakeup, but Dende and Seneko staying on this team, from Dende's perspective, it's going to happen. From Seneco's perspective, it doesn't have to, and that's what I'm trying to detail here. Is Dende's on Navi? That's like period, right? You can't negotiate that. Seneko, I don't think has as much of a tie. Obviously, the time is one thing, but he wasn't one of the original people to win TI with Navi, correct? I'm sure I'm not getting that right.
You're correct. The original Navi was
Light to Heaven, Puppy.
That one TI.
Yeah.
Puppy, Light of Heaven, Dendi, Art Style, and
Havost? I think it was Havost, right?
Yeah, Havost.
Yeah.
Havost.
Or however the fuck, XX, whatever the fuck.
I don't know which. I don't know. I don't Xbox.
He has, yeah. That's, see, I always call him that, but everybody's like, it's Havost. Anyways, so I'm not complaining about this, again, mostly just because I only barely, faintly, outside of Dendi and Navi, only barely know about Roger. I don't know too much about General or Crystallize. But I am a bit saddened to see Seneko still on this team, just because I feel like a lot of his talent is going underappreciated. Not the same with Dende, even though they are identically the same when it comes to looking at Navi as like a persistent team over time. Seneko's been on this team for years. Dendi's been on this team for more years. But Dendi's going to be on Navi. That's just period. Seneko doesn't have to be, and I am a little bit disappointed to see him continue to be on this team. But he will be a strong element to the team for whatever that's worth, if you could even call this a strong team anymore. It's not going to. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sucking his dick off too much, but like I don't think that Seneko is somebody who will ever be holding Navi back, and so those two alone kind of make this a strong roster. Although I am trying to feel your opinions out for the other three, because you probably know a lot more.
Okay, so I think they have a few. I think there's a few problems with their roster, and I think some of the ones you hit on. Actually, I don't think you hit on many problems with the roster. I think you just hit on the fact that it's kind of might be concerned about the health of certain players joining the roster.
Yeah.
So I think Dendi will always play with Navi. I don't know if you'll ever be able to get him off of that team, because I'm pretty sure he owns part of the company. So Dendi,
it wouldn't surprise me.
And all of the original. No, I mean I know he does. It's public knowledge. He and every single winner from the original TI, except for Art Style or Art's Art, I get the two mixed. Art Style Dota 2, who's actually back in the Dota scene. He basically was saying I took my money and quit, and then came
back,
and now he just fucking sucks again. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
So Art Style, did he win with them? Yeah, he won with them. So Art Style was the only player of the 5 original TI winners in 2011 that didn't decide to stay with the team, and the reason he left was because all of the other players agreed to take $100,000 of their prize money and put it into the organization to make the organization better. and no one, there's no, that's where the public knowledge ends. But if you put $100,000 into a company, you goddamn better believe that you have a share in that or a stake in that.
This is
Maybe
a
Puppy got
wildly
his
hard
back.
lady
I would
by a
expect that they
6-hour
gave
blue
Puppy
guy.
some kind of money back because he's so far removed from them, and he probably saw Navi as a bad investment, or else he'd still play for them.
This is a wildly
Light of
hard
Heaven
lady by
definitely
a
still making
6-hour
money off it, but
blue
we'll,
guy.
whatever. So he will always be with Navi probably for that reason, and he doesn't want to leave yet, and he's also probably the highest paid person in the organization because of the fact that he is the face of the brand. And he was more of the face of the brand than Puppy was. So he'll always be there. General and Seneko have both played for Navi for a little while now. I think General and Seneko are both very, very, very impressive players. I think Seneko, above all, is the Seneko is the young star for them. He's the Phonic. He's similar to Phonic, but he actually, I think he's a bigger star. I think he's a team that's really, really, really scary. I think he's a player that's really, really scary, and he's a team that can give weight to a team that he's on. Dendi, I don't think he's the sort of player anymore that gives weight to the team he's on, but I think he's in like a Loda or a Fear position where he won't win the game for you, but he will never hold you back from winning the game. In some instances, as early as recent as 2 years ago in 2015 when they sucked, Dendi was still in tournaments where they barely won or barely got out of the qualifiers. Dendi was the reason they did that. He's still solid. The two question marks, four question marks here. Two of the question marks are Roger and Crystallize, and Roger was solid with his time on Empire. Navi's historically poach players from Empire because they have more money, so they do that. I think Roger... but the problem with Roger is I think he's more like a player that won't hold you down, but he won't let you win. And I'm pretty sure that he and Crystallize kind of like... I think those two players on almost as thin of ice as Crit is on EG. And don't get me wrong, do not fucking mistake it. If you see another really bad performance out of Crit, he'll be gone from EG. He was there as a drafter. They've got to... Unless they seriously value his gameplay, he's fucking gone because he's no longer drafting for them, and that's also been announced.
Yeah. He's on a tight leash. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure he's on a fucking... I'm sure he's, at the end of his life. His lifeline's running low. So those two... I don't know anything about Crystallize at all. I know a little bit about Roger. I don't know anything about Crystallize at all. I didn't even... He could not exist, as far as I know. I've never seen him play, to my knowledge. I might have, but I don't think I have. He doesn't even have a Dota wiki. He doesn't even have a Team Liquid Dota wiki page. So I don't know what his deal is. I'm not sure if I agree with getting rid of Pycat, but Beaver, I think, was okay to get rid of. And then Havost as a coach is good because Havost is, an old head. He's like a Fear, but I think Havost is more like a Fear. I think he'd be better as your position 1 and find yourself a good coach, because Havost is historically very reckless in his play. He's a memer. He's not the person that I imagine. PPD, you tell me he's your coach, you fucking nailed it. Especially if you're allowed to have him in the room when you're drafting, you are fucking nailing it because of the fact that he has that analytical mindset. When you think about Havost, you don't think about a guy that has an invaluable set of analytical skills. You think about a guy that builds a Desolator really fast.
He's a carry player, right? How is he supposed to understand anything about the dynamic?
He's a position 1. He's a damn good position 1. He's very mechanically skilled, but damn, you do not pick Havost for his
drafting capabilities.
His mechanical prowess.
No, you do pick him for his mechanical prowess. You don't pick him for his drafting. Yeah, no. You said it perfectly. It's
really hard to show off how good at CS you are when you're a coach.
Yeah, no, okay, so again, you just nailed it, right? Name me 3 incredibly, insanely good drafters that have ever drafted from being a position 1 player. I'll sit here and wait. It's well, okay, you got one. I'm just saying, historically speaking, in Fear, I don't know. I would even call
he's not a great drafter. I don't think
it was PPD was the one that was drafting them through. He was the one that drafted.
When they were winning, PPD was drafting.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So I'm not trying to say carry players can't do this. I'm not even trying to make an objective statement about Dota that it says that support players do this and carry players do this. Roles are fluid, et cetera, all that yada yada. I'm just saying that historically speaking, it's always and again, not trying to dedicate roles here, but it's always been the core players that have been sort of kind of the you put the kind of players that can mechanically master the game, and maybe it's not even just like pure mechanics like CSing. We're talking like more complex mechanics like being able to land blink stuns and know when to land blink stuns. These are short-term decisions that are hard to execute in game on a dime's notice. However, when it comes to long-term thinking and strategy, it's typically speaking always been the support players that are able to take a step back from the intricate and cutthroat decisions that they have to make on a dime's notice.
100%.
Yeah, these are the kinds of players.
That's why they're never stars.
Exactly, yeah. They're able to look back and say, hey, in 5 minutes I need to be top so I can just cast a silence on this person. Doesn't matter if they hit the silence, right? Because they're a support player. They got poor mechanics. They just know the principle, right? Of I need to be top because this hero is going to be trying to push the tower at this time because his metamorphosis is just coming up off cooldown. Like they have more time to dedicate towards memorizing these sorts of timings and recognizing the game as more of a dynamic matchup between two teams as opposed to just my hero needs to do this in this calculated position. So it's just, I don't know, it just makes sense to me that somebody like Pycat, not to say that Pycat's an amazing drafter or anything like that, but it just makes sense. I guess rather it doesn't make sense to me too much to have your former position 1 from like 4 years ago now still continue to be in a coaching position for Na'Vi. Not that Na'Vi's lineup has ever made too much sense to me.
He just came back to this, by the way. He's been gone from the organization for a while now.
Yeah, that I mean, even more to the point, right? Like he's been out of the scene for a while. He's just now coming back into this.
Well, no, not out of the scene. He's been out of the organization.
Yeah, words were a little. I mean, I have no doubt that he's still been playing Dota. Otherwise, I mean, if he's literally just fucked off for the last 4 years, like I actually couldn't fathom this decision. But I have no doubt that he's still been playing Dota, and he probably is still a fairly good player. But again, he's a position 1 player. I wouldn't expect him to know too much about in this realm. Obviously, he knows way more than me or you combined. But just compared to other tiers of talent, I don't know if this is the best decision. But it's also one that probably doesn't impact him as much as their roster. I hate to say that because obviously coaches can have a huge impact. For instance, like you said.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, just look at PPD. I'm just saying that, like, in this case, all eyes are on Crystallized Dende, General, Roger, and Sneko. Not too many people are probably going to consider the implications of Havost being the coach, even though it is a relevant factor.
Okay, here's the big. Okay, so I guess another note on Havost. He's played for like no name and like tier 2 teams and tier 3 teams and stuff over the past couple of years. Mostly, I think it's like side projects because again, he does have stake in Na'Vi, but he was one of the Russian commentators at TI, and he has been a Russian commentator at Valve events. I think since he's not been on Na'Vi the entire time. Like he's been heavily involved in the scene, just not playing at the highest skill level anymore. But more to the point and more concerning for Na'Vi, who's your fucking drafter?
Probably. Yeah.
There's no captain. There's no declared captain for the squad so far.
Like just looking at this, I would assume it'd be either Sneko or God forbid Dendi. I remember Dendi. Didn't
I was
Dendi?
gonna say, but here's what happens when Dendi wants to do something and pulls that card, and you have to let Dendi do it because he's Dendi, and then you lose because Dendi is a big ball of mechanical skill.
Dende did try to draft for them once before, right? I know it didn't work out, but I'm pretty sure he was drafting for them once.
I don't know.
It was for a very brief time period after TIA 2 or 3. I can't remember.
Snakeo's their drafter.
Snaker's their drafter, yeah. Like I said, I'm not surprised by that decision, and I do think he's a good drafter, or at least I think he has the good potential to. I've never actually seen him draft, or I've never seen a game in which he's been drafting. Although that could be all of Navi's recent games, and maybe that is more reason why you would want a different drafter besides Sneko, because Navi hasn't been winning anything since TI1. But I don't know. I just that is another good point to recognize. Maybe this crystallized guy knows something that we don't. Right? Drafts are never just literally one-sided, unless it's EG PBD, right? It's never literally just one person yelling at the other 4.
Or
You're gonna
EG crit and one-sided in the other way.
It's typically the culmination, and I'm somewhat speaking from experience here, having been on several teams before myself, but they're never anything to mention. Just from what I know of the professional scene, it's typically you've got one guy who has what they call final say or final shot,
final word, yeah,
final word. Like you're doing this regardless, but it's typically an amalgamation of the entire like time plus the bonus pool time that you have to draft, of you talking with your teammates and saying, hey, like, can you do this? Is this something you feel comfortable in? Is this a good this person game? game? Oh, you think so? Yeah. I personally don't, but I want to hear your reasoning because you're the person that I'm going to be putting this hero on. So it's probably going to be Seneko, but I would not be surprised if this is more of a culminated effort. Yeah.
It's got to be Seneko because he's the position 5, and no one else on the team has any like serious experience drafting in the tier 1. And make no mistake, Navi always wants to be tier 1 again. They're trying to find a way to be tier 1. And they're trying to keep it CIS, which I think is another big limiting factor because CIS Dota is typically pretty mechanically skilled, but I think they don't get outdrafted very much, but they don't outdraft you very much either.
Yeah.
They're not a team that destroys you in the draft, historically speaking, and they're a team that sometimes gets destroyed in the draft. And I think that there hasn't been a good drafter on Na'Vi since Puppy left. And Puppy isn't the best drafter. Like, he's one of the best, but I think PPD is an order of magnitude better than him at drafting.
Yeah.
And I think that Puppy is an order of magnitude better than him mechanically. He's got a better balance. And when Puppy does sometimes Puppy will do like a weird draft that just like completely stomps and you'll be blown away, but he's done that many, many times before and it's gone the other way and it's been hysterically bad.
Yeah.
I think I told you about the conversation I had with Puppy, right?
I never actually.
I walked up to Puppy and said, thank you, I'm a huge fan. Every time I watch you play, I realize I knew nothing about drafting. And he had just lost a match, and he goes, "Yeah, me too. Sometimes." It was back when he was coaching. It was back when he was the captain of Navi.
I was gonna say this must have been before, the secret Scudaffle, or you would have gotten crucified by anybody that you told this story to that you'd ever associated with Puppy. But yeah, you always get to fall back on like, oh, don't worry, this was before I knew he was a scumbag. Well. No, that's hilarious.
I mean, I still love him. Like,
yeah, a lot of people still do. That boiled over really quickly. Puppy is still Puppy. He's just kind of a, he's a lot more Russian than we ever thought he was, right? He's a lot more Putin's in him, a lot more than we ever. I'm just kidding. I'm not getting political. I'm sorry. Fuck.
So, yeah. Also, totally throwing back to what we were talking about with EG earlier. Did you see the replays of the elimination match for EG?
No.
At TI?
I did not.
Okay, so when you don't need to watch the replay, just watch the draft, and you will be able to call the draft of the other. I forget who eliminated them, but you'll be able to call the draft on the other team very, very, very easily when the draft is going on. It's like they fucking in both maps. They picked like a Naga and a TB, and the fucking TB rushed a fucking Manta, which in a normal game you don't rush Manta on TB for a lot of reasons because it's really gimmicky and usually doesn't work. You don't do that at TI. But worse than that, they didn't ban shit. They didn't fucking ban Coddle. They didn't fucking ban... They picked PL one game, and they never banned Earthshaker. And they never banned Coddle, and they never banned all of these big AoEs. Like, they never... Like, not banning Earthshaker against illusion-based heroes, like, the hero doesn't have the hardest skill shot. You blink and ult, and then everything dies if all your illusions are out. Like, that's it. It's not like, well, maybe he won't be able to land it. He's 100% going to land this spell. And he did. And they just got destroyed. Like, it happened in the first game. They drafted an illusion-based draft and got a fucking... Earthshaker and a couple other big anti-illusion heroes just picked into them, and then they did the exact same shit the following draft. Exactly. Like, you knew how the game was going to go before they got halfway through the draft. It was over.
I will say that there's some intricacy to both of those matchups that you mentioned, like PL and TB into Earthshaker, just from my experience anyways, as well as just talking to a few people. There's some counterplay, there's some room for those heroes to outplay. But I will say especially with how strong Earthshaker was last patch, there's absolutely no reason not to ban that hero if you're thinking about picking a hero that could at least pair poorly, right, when you're trying to, like, late game or even mid game. TB usually wants to push and end around 20 to 24 minutes, right, when he gets like a Manta and one other item like a Dragon Lance and go push tier 3s and siege him with Metamorphosis. Like, there's no, that Earthshaker is gonna, any good Earthshaker will have a Blink Dagger by then, and he'll be able to make any like mute or any attempt.
It wasn't even just that. It was a fucking Sten. They gave the opponent Sten and Earthshaker.
Yeah. two very, especially one being on a core, he can just initiates for himself. Doesn't even need to wait for Earthshaker. Can you just use Earthshaker as a counter initiate?
Boop,
Yeah,
boop, boop,
you just have your Sven literally. Sven literally just rushes Blink and then builds into a BKB, and then what? He just like blinks in mid game team fights, stuns TB, and just kills him before he has Sunder available because you have Earthshaker as follow up. Yeah.
Because I actually have the drafts here. So, EG had SK Mirana, Winter Wyvern, PL, and Invoker against Earthshaker, Ancient Apparition, Batrider, Sven, and Ember.
Yeah.
And then the next game,
Ember.
Puck, EG had Puck, Night Stalker, Nature's Prophet, fucking Winter Wyvern again, and TB. And Team Empire had Nyx, AA, Venomancer, Sven, and Mirana.
I'm kind of surprised they let Nyx through.
They got so thoroughly wrecked in that draft, both matches. Like,
yeah. It sounds like it, for sure.
I think the Sven is the Sven is the best anti-illusion core that there is, I think.
He's definitely one of the better ones, especially because he has his own setup. Like, I hate playing TB against Fens, just because they always have the...
Same.
Yeah, it's either if it's not a blink stun, it's just the fact that pushing against him is always a bitch because he has that potential at any given point in time to just run in with his ulti powered and fuck you up, man. Like, you have to outplay him in so many ways. It's a pain.
If you're on equal footing with Sven, most carries get a period of time where they're harder carry than Sven. Oh, here's another one. Oh, but Sven, I mean, on equal farm, there's never a period of time where Sven is going to lose to the TB, and for a lot of the game, the same is true against the PL, since he's not as hard of a carry as he used to be. Another bit of interesting information: Team Empire first picked the Earthshaker, and they fourth picked the Sven, and EG fourth picked the PL. So they might have known about the Sven, and they definitely knew about the Earthshaker when they picked the PL. Yeah. And then second time, Empire had the AA, the Venomancer, and the Sven, and EG fifth picked TB. They fifth picked TB into 2 massive AoEs and a Sven.
All I can really...
they just got their butt whipped by a Sven.
Yeah. All I can really do is just kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, because they must have known something that I didn't, or seen something that I didn't, because in my mind, that's just like a draft
That's
loss.
what I'm thinking. It can't be this fucking bad, because it's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. They must have just had like a plan, and it was just failed to execute, and that's unfortunate, because especially those are the hardest losses to sustain. Last picking Broodmother, let me tell you, my pub games when my stream is watching saying, no, don't pick, it's Earthshaker, it's Sven, it's all these other heroes. Last picking it into it thinking I'm pretty confident, like I know what I'm doing here, and then losing because I get outplayed, or just because I'm playing poorly that night, or I'm just tired, or whatever. Those are the worst losses, because everybody and their mom, all the 2K, 1.5K players coming out, and I'm not trying to rip on them, but they always give me such a hard time. Like, well, you picked Broodmother into Sven, what was your deal, Wired? Like, ignoring all the facts, or ignoring the fact that I have like a 60% win rate against that hero in pubs, and I always win against him and stuff like. It's just like.
But the bans.
Yeah,
the bans are so irrelevant on EG in that second game where they last picked TB.
What were they on? What were they on?
They banned Kunkka, Lich.
Well, Kunkka, I hate playing against Kunkka and Lich as TB, I will say.
Void and Batrider.
Yeah.
I mean, they're okay, but you just got beat badly by a Sven, and you're gonna just let it go through. And you know there's 2 massive AoEs on there. Like, and those aren't really hard AoEs to hit.
Yeah.
Like, AA and Venomancer are not heroes that require a massive... Like, AA requires a little, but you land that fucking ulti on the fucking TB when he's got a bunch of illusions up, and then all he has to do is slither in and then Veno ult you, and now you're in serious fucking trouble. Like, they were relying on the mechanical skill of Arteezy, and you never rely on the mechanical skill of your players entirely, because that's the point of being able to draft. That's why there is a draft.
Yeah, it's unreliable for sure. You're kind of just saying at that point, like, I hope we're better players, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like
I fucked up.
Yeah,
I fucked up.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. There's two. I hate to say it because it makes it sound like there's an innate problem of Dota, but like there is a lot of randomness that can happen in Dota too, right? Like, it's entirely possible, and I didn't watch those games, but it's entirely possible that their lanes got ganked a little bit harder than they otherwise would have in a normal game of Dota because maybe there was a few more haste runes and invisibility runes that spawned. They gave TB a harder early game time, so he couldn't hit his power spikes as much. But you have to account for those, right? And I'm not saying I could be like way off topic here too. Maybe this wasn't actually what happened at all. Maybe again, maybe EG just like
No,
maybe crits just.
it was it was back and forth with EG with a like a 3K gold lead at 15 minutes in the second map.
Yeah.
And in the first map, EG had a like 8K gold lead at 25 minutes, and EG commanded the entire game up until 30 minutes in the first game.
Yeah.
Like basically almost every possible what if was just like, nah, EG just straight up, like, they played a normal game, they picked a horrible draft. Like, with any, I genuinely feel like I could have drafted better.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so obvious that they were going to pick the Sven, and I think as a general rule, you can play the TB against the Earthshaker, or you can play the TB against the Sven. But why the fuck would you pick that into it at TI?
Into both, right? Especially, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so OG's lineup: Fly, No Tail, Jerax, S4, Resolution.
On a left, dude. What the heck? That was the other huge thing. You linked this to me. I didn't even realize it until I read it. Like midway through, you were telling me like you want to start this, and then I read that, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, what the heck? How does Ana leave OG? Dude, that's like the best player for, I don't know. Maybe I'm hella
I think that's what it is.
No. Oh yeah. Well, I just like, why even remain a team? Look, takes a break for the season though. Whatever that means. Maybe he'll be just. I keep wanting.
Fuck that. He's going to somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way.
You don't win that much money and not. He might be trying to. I think what I suspected is he's 17, so he's got school going on, and he probably wants to play. I think he still calls himself Anna in Dota Buff. So do I have the I have the Dota Buff link. I think he was still he still associates with OG and as his team. He calls himself an OG player still.
That could. There's a lot of ways in which that could be misrepresented. Like Dota Buff themselves, they have the official, like the check mark, like verified. This person is this person.
He doesn't have the name listed anymore. Actually, he doesn't have OG Anna listed. He got rid of that. He got rid of that a day ago.
Yeah, there you
go.
But
I think he doesn't seem like he's in a hurry to leave them. So what I suspect is maybe he'll play on a Southeast Asian team because he gets Australian. I think geography is the variable here that we're not looking enough into. I think he wants to do school and play Dota, and it's very hard to do that when you're coordinating with people from across the globe. So that's why he's probably listed as inactive. He probably still associates with OG to a certain extent.
That's entirely possible. My flame, or I guess my questions aren't directed so much at Ana himself. Although I am a little bit like surprised that he left. It's more so, left for what seems like no reason outside of like what you said, like maybe it's school, maybe it's whatever, taking a break for the season. It's more so directed at like OG, like how does OG continue to be a team? I'm not trying to underrate Fly or any of their other players because they certainly have made names for themselves, but like it's fucking on it, dude. That guy's like a 9.5k like god. Like the way that he plays Ember is absurd.
He's a boss.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster. For sure, and that's their mid player. You know, you're gonna have to find another position too. This isn't. I don't know. Being in the market for that kind of thing seems pretty tough when you're looking at trying to be the best team in the entire world. I know it sounds like kind of lolsy, but like all the 2 to 3K players in Dota might be thinking like, oh, replacing a core player at that time or at that sort of level must be the easiest thing in the world. Not really. Mid player specifically, like
no.
There's a lot to play around. There's a lot of the game that you have to understand to be a competent mid player, and Ana did that really seamlessly. And to replace even just for this season, like, I don't know. Good luck, I guess.
I think the more interesting story here is Resolution replacing him.
You think?
Yeah, OG's a general. OG's much more of a central EU team. It's not really a CIS squad. And Rezo is a fucking Ukrainian. I mean, he played for Empire at TI. He's played for Team Empire before, and he played last time he played for Team Empire. He played for them for 3 fucking years. Actually, no, sorry, 2 years. Then he played for DC for a bit, and then he's bumped around. But he played 2 straight years for Empire, and before that was Rox, and before that was VP. So he's basically played for Russian teams for 2.5 straight. He played for Russian teams for 2.5 straight years, and he has expanded that a bit, and he's moved into better teams, like Western teams. But the thing that stands out to me is why the fuck didn't Navi sweep this guy up as your position 1 over a man I've never heard of? Resolution proved at this TI that he is not a joke. Like, Resolution came out fucking swinging at this TI. He came there as a, he came there as a commentator, and they couldn't get the position 1 for. Actually, I'm not sure if it was the position 1. Let me see who was the position 1. So was it Chappie? I think Chappie FN. So Chappie was the stand-in. Chappie was the position 1. And he couldn't get his visa sorted out. And Rezo was there to commentate TI, and Valve allowed him to stand in and play for Team Empire instead of commentate. And Empire said, "What choice do we have?" And he said, "I'll absolutely do that." And then they came in like 7th, 8th. He came home with or the prize was $617,000. Like, they got knocked out by Liquid. Like,
yeah. Like the team that won
the team that won, yeah.
Yeah.
He played well. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And he was not expecting to play at all, and he came in top 8 TI. So
he was on Empire. They played OG versus Empire, right? Empire was the ones that knocked Empire out, right? Empire was the ones that knocked OG out, I think, or at least onto the losers bracket. Right, I think at least onto LGD.
They played, knocked him out.
I know that they played. OG and Empire did, and I think OG did some weird Broodmother draft or some shit like that. Or no, maybe it was Empire. Sorry. Oh, dude,
I can check and see if they were knocked from the. OG started lower bracket. OG got eliminated by LGD.
My memory on
OG
this.
OG started lower bracket at the main event.
I think they played though at least once. I'm not entirely sure. Sorry for.
They might. I mean, they might have beat the shit out of them in the group stages or something. I don't know. But either way, like, Resolution, it says a lot to me when a player looks at a team that's very close to home for him, a Ukrainian-based organization that was once the best in the world, and they've gotten so bad that he says, I would rather play for a team that's not as close to home, with people that don't all speak my native language, instead of playing for Navi because they got that bad. Because I'm guarantee you Navi would have swept this guy up in a heartbeat. He could have been there. He wouldn't. Another thing is, he probably doesn't see himself as good enough to bring Navi back. He wouldn't have held them back, but he probably doesn't have enough individual skill to bring them back from obliteration.
That's hilarious. That's a funny way of putting it too. From oblivion.
I mean, you need a star, and you need one player that's a fucking boss on their team. You need a position 1, because Dendy's always going to be your mid, so you need a position 1 that's really, really, really good. I don't know this Crystallized guy. Maybe he's it, but I sincerely, severely doubt it. They need... I am not streaming Carbon Bond. I'm recording this locally, and I'll be uploading the VOD. So they need a solid star for their position 1, and they need a rockstar drafter, and they don't have either of those, so I think that Navi will just stay shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. I really, really hope not, but wait, ex-MVP? Wait. Hold on a second.
He's MackTen.
I'm not streaming right now. QO is oh, thanks. Yeah. QO, it says QO's on a new ex-MVP team. So, like, if that's the case, then who's this QO on Wanted? QO is currently playing... What the fuck? He played for Fnatic for a minute. I have no idea what's going on. This Wanted roster might not be real because QO just tweeted QO MP Forev Febi Dubu.
Somebody was saying that earlier in chat.
Yeah, so it looks like I don't know if he's doing this Wanted thing or not. We got to see what's going on. Unless they're two QOs.
I'd feel really dumb if.
Me too. I feel really fucking dumb, so I don't think there is.
In fairness, I felt pretty dumb this entire recording, because this is definitely a lot more out of my element than it is yours. But holy crap, if the meme between PPD potentially match fixing, and what could be TI8 if he was on a new team that would be Wanted with, like you said, Chessie and the like, if all that was wrong, because Wanted isn't even a team anymore. Oh man. That'd be some top kick.
Well, no, but the thing is, Wanted just got formed, so I mean, it would have been like, I don't know. Seneca wants to be captain though, so maybe that could be cool. All right, so in other news, in other transfer news, we got Alliance, Era, and Pablo leave Alliance. I don't know about getting rid of Era. I think he's okay. Pablo, yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I'm always interested. I don't think that. I don't think that Alliance can come back with that Emerald Bulldog, because Alliance wins based on Rat Dota, and whenever Rat Dota is strong in the meta, that team will be strong. So Loda is a core player that's proved himself to be able to play Rat Dota as a carry. And you need a position 2 or 3 that is also really down for the Rat and doesn't have to play Rat. And Bulldog is the best in the world at that. And he's a phone call away at any point in time. So I think to get Alliance back, you'll have to see that. So I don't think there's anything to be excited about unless there's a patch that suggests it would be profitable for them to play together again. So Team Cinderin. Era, Mage, Joe Nassum fan, Handskin, and Cinderin. I think this is kind of sad because Cinderin Cinderin is a player that I've always found to be, like, not much of a player anymore. Like, he's played or commentated every single TI. He's a very, very, very impressive player, but he's got the analyst job to fall back on, so it's not the end of the world if he loses out. Era, it is. All these other players, it fucking is. You have to win. You have to win. So I don't know. It kind of makes me nervous for them, but I always like seeing Cinderin play well because I think he's probably the best person in the world. I use YouTube for most of my streaming and broadcasting. My YouTube is, or my Twitch is twitch.tv/MackXten. My YouTube channel is just search Esportsmonies. I go by Esportsmonies for the most part. And I typically put all my content on YouTube. So I think as I was saying, I think Cinderin has the best analytical, the best person to explain his analytical mindset. Listening to Cinderin explain matches of Dota is like listening to Morgan Freeman narrate my breakfast. Like, it's just awesome. I love listening to Cinderin talk analysis. It's really cool. I'm not going to comment on the Chinese team because I don't know it well enough. Oh, I take that back. There's a couple of players I know. VG.J. So VG has 3 fucking teams now, dude.
Yeah. Is this a first, I think? Newbie had 2.
They've got Paparazzi, Ori, 11, Lamb, Fenrir, Mikasa is on 1. The next one is Sylar, Ghost, Yang, Fade, Io, and ROTK's coaching. And then the third one is not really excited about. But I think it's really cool to see ROTK as a coach on VGJ, but I'd rather see ROTK in the fucking seat. I want to see him play.
And play the game. Yeah.
But ROTK is a player that's very good at coach. He's a very good candidate for a coach because he's a great analytical mind. So it would be nice to see him play. I want to see ROTK and Burning play on the same team at TI. That's my Chinese Dota dream. That's what I want to see.
I wish I knew more about the scene so that I could comment a lot more.
ROTK is one of Burning's oldest friends.
Yeah.
Like when they faced off each other and one of them had to eliminate the other in 2014, Burning said to him, like when Burning beat him, he said, "You realize you have to win this event now." Like they are old school like best buddies in Dota.
Yeah.
Like probably better friends than Ake and Loda.
It's a funny point as well that Carbon mentions, like how many teams is too many teams that you'd be pushing it that Valve would have to be like, this is...
Well, the problem is, like, I guess we'll never see that wanted issue comes up if you have 3 fucking VG squads.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because then they could always just match fix each other. I don't know.
I think the idea is, though, they're so similar. I think this is a much smaller issue, though, because it's not really it's not really 3 teams, 1 organization. I mean, it is. But these are all different players with all different managers. It's just if someone wants to make money off of all of them. So as long as they're very laissez-faire with it, it's fine. Also, none of these are B teams, technically speaking. None of these are lesser teams. These are teams on equal footing with stars on all 3 of them or relative stars on all 3 of them. So I think it's not going to be an issue where you see max fixing unless... you have a round... The only time this is an issue, and it was always an issue, is if you have a round-robin bracket, and one of those lower teams, like, let's say you have all 3 of these guys in the same fucking bracket, which you won't, because Valve's smarter than this, but if you did, then you have an issue where Valve always has to be suspicious, because, let's say one of them is on the edge of getting to the upper bracket or not, and the other one is guaranteed upper bracket, so they just throw the fucking thing. They just throw the map because there's nothing to gain from it, and then now both of the teams from the same org are in the top.
Yeah.
So you can see that happen. You will see that happen.
Mm-hmm. They do round robin a lot, too. I mean, they did it last TI, so... to sort out that sort of
Valve
thing.
events are big on them.
Yeah.
Valve events are big on them.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. This is weird. I don't like it either, for the record. I was always... It's kind of a turnoff to the organizations at large. When Newbie did this after they split, I think it was for when they won TI4?
They weren't the first.
Or TI3, I think?
They weren't the first.
Yeah. They weren't.
Notorious, do you remember LGD and LGD
Why?
International?
Yeah. Yes.
LGD Int.
Was that the first?
That's the first big instance of it first is kind of a relative term, but I think that's the first, like, AAA version of this. And like LG, to be fair, I think no one's gonna call them on that because LGD was so good to that international team. They flew 5 players from around the globe into China and trained them like a fucking South Korean StarCraft team house. Like they got fucking good too. They beat the main LGD squad repeatedly in events until finally LGD was like, all right, let's stop this. You guys go make your own team. But they made some serious progress, and Black was the captain. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So Mouse Sports didn't change shit, and Mouse decided to stay in the scene, which I thought they might have left after TI, but they decided to stay in the scene, and I mean their roster's still kind of shit, so I don't think it'll matter.
Rip.
What about Faceless? Faceless isn't on here. Team Spirit, I don't think is going to be relevant at all.
Let me see. Team Spirit.
Team Weehaw. I think Team Weehaw could actually be a sleeper. I think that could be good.
I'm looking for the lineup. 1 sec. There we go. Tomato. Ooh, cancel. Keizu, Weehaw, and then Saksa.
How good is Cancel?
Pretty good. for sure.
I hear he's quite good, but I don't. I see a lot of content. Like I see, he's always streaming on Twitch, and I was thinking about creating a playlist for him, because it's very easy to get a hold of his replays. He doesn't try to hide anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. And I didn't know if it'd be worth it.
So,
how's Keizu?
well, okay, wait. Back to the cancel thing, just because I know a lot more about it. I'll say it's very hard to approximate how good a player like this is if you're only watching a stream. I just want to start out by saying that because he never ever puts a delay or hides his minimap, so he gets sniped a lot, and it's pretty obvious when he's getting sniped, when people are BMing him, when people are ghosting as well. Although I mean, sniping and ghosting are pretty much like synonymous terms at this point. You pretty much don't ever snipe and don't ghost as well. People are scumbags like that, and just in general, like it's one of the big things I think.
What do you mean ghosting and what is ghosting?
Ghosting is like when it's like basically stream cheating. It's when you're looking at somebody's stream while you're playing the game. It's not just like sniping is when you're just trying to get in the same game as them, and then ghosting is when you're using their stream constantly. I think that
I used to always just call it sniping for the. I never considered it stream sniping if you're just trying to get in the game with them. I considered it sniping if you were. Watching the stream. Like I don't have a problem with people just like sniping if that's the actual term for the shit. I don't have a problem with people just joining his games because they want to play with him. If they're being dubious fucking assholes and watching the stream while they play, then yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah. So, and that's like a moral debate that people could have at some other time. I just mean that like it happens so frequently that at least from what I've noticed,
it's always together nowadays.
It happens a lot.
You can just beat a pro.
Well, even more importantly than that, just specifically speaking to because we're trying to speak to Cancel's merits here. Like it happens a lot to Cancel, so when it's kind of hard for me to approximate his skill based off of just that. But I can go off more than that because he played with Complexity for some time, and by far, I don't know. Even though he was the one that ultimately was the one that stepped down, even though the rest of Complexity's lineup remained the same, like he was probably the best player on Complexity. He's a very, very good mid laner. Not to say that he's going to specifically be playing mid laner because he has a lot of knowledge on safe lane as well. Although they probably already have their roster solidified, I would not be surprised if they swap that around in the game based on a kind of an as-needed basis. Although he probably will end up being the mid laner. His Invoker is second to none. I shouldn't say that. He does have a very good Invoker though. He can turn games around on it. He's an okay Tinker, I'd say for sure. Definitely like not one of his like signature heroes, but whenever he plays him, I always like am kind of baffled by how he's able to turn a game around. And just in general, like the typical core mids that you would expect to see anybody excel on, he can do. But then taking it further than that, he's not afraid of like getting out of his seat a little bit and kind of getting uncomfortable and playing heroes that he's not too familiar with, which is one of the things that just as a whole I wouldn't be surprised seeing Team Wii kind of try to take advantage of, because obviously you've got Wii. He's pretty notorious for his Meepo play, just as well. Actually, you could argue like which one of them is going to actually play position 2, because Cancel and Wii are both. I mean, typically, like historically, we've seen Wii a lot in the position 2, playing like the Meepo, playing Invoker, playing those mid lane heroes that are very dominant and kind of like micro heavy or whatever. But Cancel does that a fair bit too. The rest of the draft, though, kind of speaks for itself. I don't know too much about Soxa, if I'm honest with you, but like Keizu is Keizu. Jablo says he's one of the best offlaners in Germany.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I will say, I think he was the guy that. Or I'm probably thinking of somebody else. I was going to say I saw a few broods at TI, and I think he was one of them. And I was pretty. If it was, I'm pretty sure I was unimpressed with his play. But I think I'm wrong about that. Now that I'm thinking more about it, maybe I think it was Kaka from Empire that I was thinking of. So never mind. But even if he was, like, I wouldn't fault him for that. Like, Brood's a weird hero and kind of hard to get right. So
PPD's team is probably going to be a joke team. It looks like a joke team because. No, because Jo is on another team as well. Multiple players on the team are on other teams.
But it is confirmed?
Via wiki and no one on Reddit mentioning it.
Okay. Well.
PPD new team wanted.
But yeah, you bring up a good point about Team Wii. These guys are definitely something to at least keep your eye out for, if nothing else. You said Team Spirit's a joke. I'm kind of surprised that you glossed over BSJ's team, although maybe you have similar feelings to them as you do.
No, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I just want to talk about Weehaw because I'm a huge Weehaw fan.
Yeah.
Weehaw is. I watched him as a pub star before literally fucking anyone knew about this guy. When he was like 5,400 MMR, I watched him play with my boy Microsoft every fucking day for weeks. And always wanted him to succeed, and then he got straight fucked by Puppy. That's probably the only thing that Puppy has done that really, really irks me, is that he fucked Weehaw so hard after Weehaw won him a major. That doesn't sit right with me, and I think Weehaw's a great player, and I want to. The reason I'm so interested in this is because I want to see it have the potential for success, because I think Weehaw is
Deserves
very underrated.
Yeah.
TNC not changing. Who gives a fuck? I'm gonna skip around, see if there's any quick ones we can go over before the BSJ, and that'll be the end of this bit. Confirmed rosters from Europe. Alliance only load is confirmed. Team Sin, Team Secret, Penta, North America, Team Infamous. No one cares. C. No one cares except. Wait. Did you see Fnatic? Scroll down to C, Southeast Asia.
Is the joke that they're not even there, or?
No. At the bottom on the list of confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed teams and players. I'm not seeing. You said sorry.
Under
To
C.
Yeah. We've got EE as captain. Ohio Pilot died.
EE is captain of Fnatic. He's captain of a Southeast Asian team.
He went from Cloud9, an American.
And he brought Pilot with him, and everyone else is Southeast Asian, I think. What the fuck?
Did they learn Korean or something? What's going on?
Well, I think Fnatic. Well, Fnatic is originally it's a UK org, but it's had basically all C players lately. Let me look at Ohio, DJ, and Excalibur. So Excalibur is not. Where is he from? He's EU. Ohio, he has Malaysian. DJ, formerly known as Chrissy, is Filipino. Okay, so they will be speaking English. But what the fuck? I mean, Fnatic has always been a Western organization, but for the last couple of years, they've been a China/Southeast Asia/Malaysia org, and this is really interesting to me, just to see, it feels like Jackie Mao has had to lower himself to play on this team. His Cloud9 team seemed like they needed a new drafter. They seemed like one swap for that old Cloud9 roster, and they would not be trash. So I don't know what's going on here, and it makes me very nervous about this.
Well, Cloud9.
I don't think this team will be very successful, but I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong.
Cloud9's not even, they're outright not even technically a team anymore, right? I know that we talked about this earlier, but
usually the roster sticks together and just moves over with a new brand or calls himself something else, like Speed Gaming or something.
So you're saying that Cloud9 is still in the Dota, they still care about Dota? They're just going to come TI season, they'll just they'll claim
for sure.
5.
Yeah, that's what happened this year. They'll probably do it again if there's a decent team, and they typically do it if EE's on it because they have a lot of connection to EE, and he generally is just fuck yeah, give me the money.
Yeah.
Give me that fucking money.
Yeah, but in this case, it probably won't happen, right? Because EE's just outright not even he's on Fnatic. You can't just be with Fnatic and Cloud9 at the same time.
Astute observation. But an even more astute observation is that there is no chance he's gonna be on Fnatic come next TI.
And
there's fucking no chance he'll be on Fnatic.
And so the reason that you're saying this, right, is because you don't expect this team to work out, or
even if it does work out, it's very unlikely for a team to last the full season.
But
it's very unlikely to see a team that's solidified. There are multiple add drop periods. After every single major, there's an add drop period, and we have 6 or 7 majors. There's so many opportunities for them to change without taking any penalty from Valve.
This is a wired guitar
I don't know what's going on with this, but unless they're a baller, and I mean straight baller team, I don't think this will be his team at the next TI.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised to see roster changes, like you mentioned, that happens no matter what. I just but yeah, I guess this.
Sorry. Did VP change anything? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You'd have to look. I'll look at it.
I don't think so.
Yep, 100% the same, which is really cool. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was them or Empire that did that, so that's really, really exciting. They
placed far too. What was VP?
Yeah, they fucking tore shit up, dude.
Yeah, and people expected them to.
I expect them to do well, but generally speaking, unless you're the absolute best going in, you don't win. And you don't do that well. They got beat by TL. They put up a fucking hell of a fight.
Wait. Holy shit, I'm stupid. What is Cinderin a support player?
Typically. He's one of those old heads that can kind of do anything.
Okay, I was gonna say.
He's captaining that team. I can almost bet that he's captaining that team unless someone on there is a just straight ball and drafter.
Yeah, they have a fucking.
No, he's the drafter.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just I didn't realize that they had this that also like conveniently laid out the positions as well as the captains. This little confirmed teams and player table. And it's interesting to see this. Like,
see anything surprising?
Yeah. So Dubu, don't get me wrong, right?
Wait for the BSJ. I'll go over the. I want a minute to go over the BSJ.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. Yeah. I just the Dubu captaining, like Dubu's always been a very vocal player. If you and I you're gonna have to excuse me for this this mountainous line of evidence here because it's not really the most fleshed out, but like it's every solo queue game with any pro in it that has Dubu in it as well. Because Dubu, I don't think himself streams too often, but you'll hear from because no pro is gonna block Dubu. You'll hear like nonstop, just go here, in his little Southeast Asian voice, just like it's like it's Dubu. Even when he changes his name, you still know it's Dubu. He sings, he laughs, he dances, and he has he's got a lot of passion. But like I never expected that guy to be. I knew he was a support player. I never expected him to be the captain. Right? Typically, you can have your 4 or your 5 captain, and it's not too weird for either. I mean,
Eternal Envy is.
I was gonna say he's
a player that's a one position captain.
Yeah, I was gonna say so, and I don't technically consider that to be something that is like he hasn't always been a one position captain, has he?
Correct.
Yeah, this is also new to this, and I wanted to talk about that very briefly. But like. So I do have a friend that really is a huge fan of Internal MV. I don't even think he would approve of this particular decision for him to be the captain. That's also position 1. Obviously the meme is like REE tard, right? Like he's pretty well known.
Baffled.
Yeah, he's definitely a very we'll say creative player. But I don't know if that meshes well with him being a captain, right? Like. Especially if these guys hope to win anything. So this is the
best. He's the best candidate to be captain on this team.
I mean, yeah, that's the more concerning and troubling thing, right? This is this lineup of players. I looked them all up. They're good. At least their solo ratings definitely speak for themselves. And these are not also no names, right? I've heard of Pylai Dai. I've known of Excalibur, Ohio, and DJ. I mean. Again, if I don't know them, that doesn't mean anything because I don't know too much about Pro Dota. But I have heard of these names. These are not necessarily what I consider household names, at least not for Wire Guitars. But these are also not no names, and these are good. These are good players. This is not. It's just weird for me to see him in a captaining position in a team like this that is somewhat. I mean, these guys are probably all competent. You could have your Pylai Dai captain, no problem, right? Like he could be a good drafter there for you. I don't know, in my opinion. Just I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering about Pylai Dai. I think Pylai Dai will be helping with the draft. The reason they gave him captain is because the captain is like he has the final word in the draft, and he also has the final word in shot calling in the game. And when EE's on his game, he's the guy you want calling shots in game, like 100%.
Yeah, for better or for worse, right? At least the team will be playing more cohesively when they're diving the fountain at like 20 minutes in. I don't know. It's just like I could totally see him trying to.
If you're diving the fountain at 20 minutes, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, or I don't know. I just don't want to see any like random 3 spirit draft like fucking anime. Like let's get Ember Spirit, Storm Spirit, and Earth Spirit on the same team because I like anime or something. I don't know. Fuck, I could see something stupid like that happen. Where's What?
Alright, let's talk about Team Leviathan.
Sure.
It's BSJ and 4 people. I know Jenkins. I don't know Slayer, Noble Wings, or Newsham.
You don't know these players? Damn, dude. Okay, so I actually know a little bit more about this than you do, but admittedly, I don't know too much about Slayer. I've heard of him. Noble Wings left a very nice comment on one of my YouTube videos. He's a decent core player.
Really?
Yeah, no, he's a dick. But that aside though, he's like a decent core player, and he thinks about the game in a pretty good. I don't know. He's like in a dynamic way. similar to how I always like, and I usually look for that as like something that like he doesn't like he would never say that one thing outright counters another thing. He would always try to, or at least from what I know of him, which is little, he thinks of the game in a way that precedes just face value, and I appreciate that in a player. I didn't expect him though, honestly, and this is another player that I'm not a huge fan of, B9, Bloody 9. I was a bit surprised to not see him show up anywhere here. He's been on a few semi-pro like tier 3, tier 3 or tier 4 teams, if there's even a tier 4, recently, and I think he played on Spirit or Team Freedom. I think it was Team Freedom with BSJ for a bit, and Jenkins too. Or I know that he at least like played in a few like semi-professional tournaments with them. Or tryouts, something like that. I was a bit surprised to not see him get picked up by Leviathan. But BSJ being on this team is a bit interesting because I know he was teamless for a while, and Jenkins kind of deserves no introduction. I expected him to be here. He's been on here for a while.
Yeah.
Same with Newsham. Although has Newsham always been with Leviathan? Newsham's I had a really weird experience with Newsham. This is where like again the only reason I know about these players is because I've actually played with like a good chunk of these players. BSJ, Jenkins, and Newsham I've all played with in pubs before. And specifically with Newsham, this guy is such a memer, dude. Like I played against him mid when I was just trying out QoP. I have a infamous 30-something% win rate with QoP, so needless to say I lost. It was a random normal game. I'm actually surprised that it was kind of like when you face Black, right? You faced him in a normal game in one of your Smurfs. Like it was just some random, I don't even know how my solo unranked MMR was high enough to get him, but I got him when he was playing Invoker, and he absolutely mollo-whopped me with it. And we're cool now. It was a nice little, because I always try to smack talk my enemies to put them on tilt, and it didn't work. But he's definitely a good player. I think he's playing support though. He's traditionally been a support player for Leviathan. And like I said, I'm not entirely sure if he's been on the team the entire way through, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has been. He was actually the one that really got my cogs turning, I guess, in my mind when I was thinking about the support player playing the support / initiating like types. So we're talking about like your lions with your blink daggers and stuff that try to start a fight. He was kind of the one that was talking about it in some random video. He has very little content on the internet, but if you look up like Newsham Dota, you can find it. Usually it's behind like some stupid paywall like Game Leap or Pugna, but nonetheless, he was talking about the support as a role that strictly reacts or works in such a way that you have a mission in a fight, and your only goal is to succeed your mission. It's not necessarily to hit like a crazy 5-man stun or win the game by some weird WoW play. It's like just blink and stun the anti-mage. That's all you have to do, and then you'll win the fight, or at least you'll do your job. And then if you don't win the fight, and so. Very solid player. Like I said, none of these players, it's important to note, this is in a Dota, right? And this is in a like 6 to 7K Dota. I don't expect Leviathan to go far, but it's always something that like you should be on the lookout for, because this is you and me, dude. Like LGD, Infamous, Navi, these are not, this isn't NA Dota, right? Singularity, TNC, this is not NA Dota. Okay, Leviathan is NA Dota. In one way or another, these players represent us, and I don't know if you believe in multiculturalism.
That's why I don't know them.
Yeah,
they're Dota.
They're not good, but they're the best we got, so to speak. Not the heroes that we deserve, but the heroes that we, I guess, have. So, we should stand by them for one reason or another. Like I said, I'm not even a huge fan of some of these players, most notably Noble Wings, who I had a bad confrontation with. But I can definitely admit when I see a talent, and like he's good. So. Looking out for this team.
The player that I'm most concerned with is BSJ. I think BSJ is an incredibly good player. I think he's incredibly honestly, he's a fucking meme. He's not even a memer. He's just a regular meme. Like, he's like Eternal Envy. But except worse. But he's good. And he is a representative from NA Dota. He's the... I look at BSJ and think of him as the archetypal, like, doing anything I can to make money within the Dota sphere, but at the heart of it, all I want to do is win TI. And I can't believe I just used the words win TI and BSJ in the same sentence. But
yeah, I don't even know if he'd say that's his goal,
but I think that's his dream. He's a competitor at heart. I think that's his deal.
Yeah.
And I want to see him on a team that can help him get to that goal, and I'm not sure if this is the team. But it could be. He could have a decent showing in here. I think he's a player that needs to get picked up by someone baller, by a ball and organization.
Not Leviathan.
I don't think that this is. I mean, he just made it on his own, so no.
I don't think he made Leviathan.
Actually, no. Leviathan is a brand.
Leviathan's
Leviathan is a
yeah,
brand.
they've been a brand, they've been a team. Jenkins, I think you could make a somewhat of an argument that Jenkins technically made this team, although he didn't. But he's been with them for so long that I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a similar relationship that like PPD does with EG, just because of how long he's been with them. Sorry.
Okay, so I kind of want to get to just patch note dreams and then end the show because we've been going for way longer than I ever thought.
There you go.
But just a kind of a closing note on this. Team Leviathan has existed since 2014, and their total winnings in all tournaments they've competed in is $15,000.
Don't say it, dude.
15 grand.
You can't even. I mean, you'd be
15
hard.
grand.
Dude, these guys.
That's like minimum wage for one player for 1 year. That's like
dude,
lower than
this
minimum wage.
this is truly my caliber because like I've watched these guys' videos. These are the same guys that do patch analysis out of their mother's living room, right? Not even their mother's basements. Like
yeah.
I saw this. Yeah. I saw the video, dude. I honestly 100% like no all jokes aside, like I root for these guys. This is like my scene, right? Because no, you don't lie to me. Don't you root for like TNC
no, I mean,
more?
I root for them. I just don't think.
Yeah.
I just don't follow them very closely because I don't think they're gonna fucking win shit.
They're just they
bet on them.
They strike home. You bet like value bets, like I'll to 95% favorite.
Yeah, no, I bet small on them.
Yeah, small bets. I just these are this is like if I guess it's more so, and I hate to like get super personal or whatever, but like if I were to ever join a pro team, it would be a team like this. It would never be like I would never have a chance getting on like even Navi, right? Like it would be a team like this if I were to get significantly better, raise my MMR, solo MMR by like 1,000, and start really trying to make like some good connections. Like it would be a team like Leviathan. It wouldn't be something else. So yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it's closer to winning TI than you and I are probably ever going to be.
Yeah.
But
it's still very far away. Sorry.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just see this as something where a player like BSJ could get noticed by a bigger organization and get picked up. But I mean, they're okay. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong Team Leviathan. Team Leviathan. No, I'm looking at the right one. Their Twitter, the team's official Twitter, has 123 followers. I have over twice as many followers than them on Twitter. Their Facebook has 1,500 followers. That's actually something.
You're gonna eat these words.
They haven't posted in 2 years.
You're gonna eat these words. I know you're gonna eat these words. This team is gonna somehow, some way, they're gonna either recruit better talent or they're just gonna get so good that everybody that's laughing at NA Dota is specifically this guys, because you don't say NA Dota with EG anymore. Like you said that you used to, but you don't so much anymore. Now when you say NA Dota, you laugh at Leviathan.
NA Dota, they're winning Dota.
Yeah. Or at least they were TI5. I don't know about specifically right now, but people are PogChamping on the.
No, they did well at TI. They're still a juggernaut.
Okay, well that's good that they're still considered that way. I expected them to do more.
They're still top 10 team in the world for sure, maybe top 5. They're very good.
But they hope to be better. They want to be top 3 if not top 2, right? Like RTC was on the verge of tears when they got kicked out, right? Like, and so was like Sumail was kind of sad. At least if you look at the camera, I don't know for whatever that's worth, but I don't know. Anyways.
But yeah, I think EG is still towards the top, but it'll be interesting to see. We will watch their career with great interest.
Yeah.
Memes.
In some way.
Okay, so next patch. What do you think about the next patch, buddy? When do you think we're gonna get it? I think we're gonna get it in fucking December.
Yeah, it'll be December, unfortunately.
I think they'll be playing Fallout 4 in VR first.
Yeah. So Valve's gonna lawyer us, and they're gonna do December 11th, right? Because last patch was December 12th, and they'll say that they'll announce it like in a few weeks. They'll be like, just a heads up, guys. We'll definitely have the next patch out sooner than we did last year, right? And then we'll still be like 2 months before we get an actual patch. That's what I predict. I don't think it'll be as big of a shakeup as 7.0, but I do think it will be huge. Even though they keep saying that it will be though, right? If you check their statements, they're saying it should be as big as there's no way.
It'll be huge, but it's impossible to make Dota 2 8.0. Like, if they actually do that, That would be fucking awesome.
I don't even think it'd be awesome.
But there's no way that's gonna happen.
I think it'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be awesome for a few weeks.
Fuck this patch.
No, look, the patch.
Fuck this game. I want a new game. Give me Dota 4.
I mean, we don't even have Dota 3 yet, unless you consider 7.0. So I don't know. Like
7.0 Dota 3 meme.
The crazy things that they introduced last patch, I don't see how you could top them, even with 2 new heroes, literally doubling the amount of heroes that were released last year. Although not even technically, because Pitlord, right? Pitlord. Yeah, Pitlord. We got Pitlord on our after TI patch. Our post TI patch, we got a new hero. We didn't even get close to a new hero on our post TI patch. Although to be fair, it was just Pitlord.
We got nerfs.
Yeah,
it
was
nerfs and like a fucking Wraith King buff.
It was and a tiny buff that I never see anything of. But
yeah, the tiny buff. I like the tiny buff.
LOL. I don't know. I'm just.
Oh yeah, no, Cropman and I, Cropman, 100 years, Cropman. I'm gonna do some content soon.
It'll
He's
be
a fucking baller.
It'll be a while before we get a new patch, but it'll be a good patch, I do think. Again, I can't stress enough. I do not think it'll be of any order of magnitude as large as 7.0, but it'll probably still be reasonably big, bigger than 7.06, for instance, bigger than 7.01.
100%.
Yeah.
It'll be the biggest patch of the year. I think this might be Valve's new model to do a new patch every end of the year, start of the year. That's just bigger than everything else, and then tiny balance patches throughout the rest of the year, and I kind of hope that's not the case, because that means that the second half of the fucking year is dominated by teeny tiny incremental tedious patches that are not exciting. Fun or not, they're not exciting.
Yeah, I think I'd mostly agree with that.
I didn't shit my pants when I saw 7.06F.
Yeah.
I actually almost did shit my pants, because that meant fuck, it's gonna be months before we get a real patch.
Yeah. The letter patches, like you said, like I'm not as much of a fan of them for their content as I am for their way of Valve's way of saying, like, I want to refine the game now for a few months and make sure it's in a at least somewhat balanced state. But again, like you said, like it's not too much fun for us casuals, and more importantly than that, doesn't seem to work, right? Like 80% pick or ban rate Nyx Assassin. Like, what were we doing all of these hotfix patches that led us up to still an insanely overpowered hero like Nyx? I mean, I'm not even trying to say that the hero was like as broken as 6.84 or 04 Storm Spirit or 6.84 or like 6.85 techies and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, like there's been more powerful heroes throughout Dota's lifespan, but if we're still seeing heroes consistently banned at like 84%, 50%, 60%, like, come on. Like, can we get a more balanced game, please? I don't know, free game, no bitching. And like, we did see a lot of heroes, but we only saw a lot of heroes in like one-off fringe cases, right? Like Meepo picked her ban like once, like combined of pick ban, right? Like and Brood was picked in like 6 games and stuff. It's just like I kind of want to see a more diverse environment. If you're gonna like strap us down to a patch for 5 months, at least make the game as crazy good, like, and fine-tuned balance as you possibly can. Not Necrophos every game, right? Not these dumb 5-6 heroes every single game, and then the only variation is like, who do we want to pick? What rabbit do we want to pull out of the hat for this one to make the game even somewhat interesting?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was everything that I had. Let me look at the docket. I think, yeah, that's it. Any other thoughts or topics?
Not really.
All right. Well, I'm going to be trying my luck making the new Dota videos that I was mentioning. I kind of want a new patch, or at least some kind of balance patch, because I'm running out of heroes to make jungling guides for. I've done most of the interesting and fun ones.
Time to do some laning guides. No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it's just fucking around. No.
I do like what I do with my analysis videos is pretty similar to a laning guide.
Yeah. I've seen them.
Yeah, some of them are pretty good. I don't touch on heroes that I know. I purposely don't touch on heroes that I know that you have like insane knowledge with, because I just watch it and be like, Mac, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I would never do Brood.
I know. I was gonna say you should actually consider doing that, because I mean, at some point or another, you're gonna step on somebody's toes, right? Even if it's just somebody that you don't know, like, it's still there's no way to avoid any sort of criticism whatsoever. And if nothing else,
I honestly don't know enough. I don't know enough about the Brood.
Maybe
the
not.
Thing is, I would watch if I made a guide video about Brood. You would probably agree with everything I said, but you would say that I'm missing a huge portion of the picture. It's like when you watched, like, Day 9 back in the day, when you watch Day 9's videos, he very clearly is explaining very important things. But if professional players don't watch Day 9, why don't professional players watch Day 9? Because they're missing out. There's a lot of information that you only have if you're in that game or have played that matchup a million times that patch.
Yeah.
And Day 9 doesn't have it. So
Yeah.
once you reach that upper echelon in the game, especially with specific heroes, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, someone who's very, very knowledgeable of the game, who watches the replay a few times, is not going to be able to tell you as much as someone that's played that hero against the same matchup 1,000 times.
Yeah. And I would mostly agree. I will say though that, like, for instance, you went over Ice's mid coddle, right? Looking in lieu of looking for like,
but yes,
or Ice, sorry, yeah. In lieu of like looking for GH coddle replays, like that was the one that you had to settle on, for instance. And it's not like that was a bad game to look at or by any means. But like if there was some other random, like, you know, 6K or 7K coddle spammer out there that exclusively played him support and came onto that video and said, lol, Ice just randomed coddle that game in a game where he was like 500 MMR above the average, so that's why he went mid coddle, because he didn't really care about the game. Like, you're obviously supposed to play him support or some shit like that. Like, you know, these sorts of criticisms would come from any angle. And I do think that there's something, like, the way that you looked at the game, regardless of that, was definitely something that people could benefit from. Like, for instance, like, you called the Tangos when he was going to buy them, and in general, you thought his builds lacked regen, which was something that he corrected. Like, I don't think that your insight is so lacking that, like, you know, 4 or 5, even 6K players can't at least learn something from, even if, for the most part, maybe you're wrong in some ways. And I don't even think you're wrong that often.
That's flattering.
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to be.
I don't think I'm wrong very often, but I think I exclude a lot of. And I don't know if I do this, because if I did, I wouldn't. But I think I exclude information that a 7K player wouldn't exclude or would be able to pick up on. Or there are so many things going on there that they would be able you can't even condense them into a digestible form. But I think I do a decent job of that. The big ones are, I'm worried more about things I miss than things I misinterpret.
Yeah. It's possible.
I would say if you're 5K, my analyses are probably pretty decent.
Yeah.
I would say if you're 4K, you'll probably learn a little something. If you're 3K, watch my fucking videos. Give me money! Give me money! Esportsmonies!
Anyway, I think we're done here, right?
Yeah, we're done here.
Nice.
Also, watch the video titled "When They See My CS, They Undress."
I'll check it out right now. It's fun talking to you, mate.
Yeah, dude, it was good catching up. We should do more content like this sometime when I'm not tired.
Let's do it, man.
I also need to eat something. I have eaten next to nothing today. I think I'm gonna go make a pizza.
We'll set something up for sure.